Yeah, good morning, Eric. Hello.
Morning, Mr. K.
Hello. Oh,
Hello.
yeah. Good morning. So today is our reading session.
Mm.
Okay. Foods that kill cancer stem cells. Finding ways to kill cancer stem cells has been one of the holy grail in cancer research. While this is a target of biotechnology companies working on cancer treatment, scientists have already discovered dietary factors that have at least in some forms of cancer. Cancer stem cells are responsible for initiating many cancers, as well as igniting the recurrence of cancers after treatment.
Green tea. Green tea has many useful functions, including the ability to kill cancer stem cells. Scientists at Nanjing Medical University and Sun Yat-sen University Cancer Center in China studies the effect of the green tea polyphenols, epigallocatechins, trigallate, EGCG in the lab and found that it could reduce the growth of colon cancer stem cells by 50%. In addition, EGCG forced the cancer stem cells to commit cell suicide through the process of apoptosis. Another study from the University of Salford in England showed that the matcha green tea, a form of powderized tea leaf, can interrupt the metabolic pathway of breast cancer stem cells, depriving them of energy and causing them to die. The effect of the EGCG in green tea on targeted cancer stem cells may help explain the protective effect of tea against colon and other cancers.
Purple potatoes. Originating from Peru, purple potatoes were prized by the ancient Inca for their nutritive benefits. They contain the bioactive anthocyanin and blue-purple pigment that also gives many dark berries their hue. Scientists at Penn State University explored the effects of purple potatoes on cancer stem cells. In the lab, they fed mice that are at high risk for developing colon cancer for the dietary equivalent of one purple potato, Purple Majesty variety, each day for a week. They compared the effects of the potato with that of an anti-inflammatory drug called Solindac, which is known to suppress colon polyps and colon cancer development. After 1 week, the colons of the mice were examined. The mice fed purple potatoes had 50% fewer tumors. When the colon tissue were more closely examined under the microscope, there was a 40% increase in the killing of colon cancer stem cells compared to the group that did not eat purple potatoes. They found that the cancer stem cells in mice fed purple potatoes were deprived of key survival factors. When the scientists removed the cancer stem cells from the mice and exposed them to a purple potatoes extract, they found the extract caused a 22-fold reduction of aggressiveness in the behavior of the cancer stem cells.
The scientists prepared the purple potato in different ways, including baking, dicing, and freeze-drying. Yet the bioactive cancer stem cells binding components appear to be stable even under different conditions and preparation techniques. Given their effects, purple potatoes may have, in addition to their marvelous color features, unique cancer-fighting properties that traditional white potatoes don't have.
Yeah, do not, right? And from the bottom, the last word. Yeah, I found that this word you like to pronounce it as dia, right? Yep, I think it's better to pronounce there.
Okay, there. Is it correct?
It is yeah, it is if we take out the th, it is air. So
Air.
air.
There.
So we
Okay.
include in the th, it is there. Yeah, it's not there.
Yeah, there.
Walnuts that are eaten roasted, candied, or even pickled. They are nutrient dense and contain bioactives like gallic acid, chlorogenic acid, and allergic acid. As described here, eating what is associated with abuse for colon cancer through patients who have colon cancer. Scientists from Eva Women's University, Seoul National University, and Sungkyunkwan University in South Korea study a walnut extract for ability to stem cells. In the lab, they grew culture stem cells isolated from a patient and exposed it to a walnut extract. Hello? Yeah, is it bad connection?
Hello?
Hello? Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, is it
I
bad
can.
connection?
It's a lot of delay, but I still can hear you. Have you finished the reading?
Oh,
Hello?
okay. Yeah, so I not yet. Yeah, I'm in the middle. Yeah, can you
Yeah,
hear me?
yeah,
Hello?
I think, I think,
Okay,
mm,
so hmm,
you continue first.
okay, I continue. After 2 days of exposure, the number of cancer stem cells treated with walnut extract declined by 34%. By 6 days, there was a stunning 86% suppression of cancer stem cells growth. The potent effect of walnuts on cancer stem cells might help explain the results of the study of 826 patients with stage 3 colon cancer who had a 57% lower chance of death and a 42% lower chance of cancer recurrence associated with eating nuts.
If you have colon cancer, eating walnuts may literally save your life. Extra virgin olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil contains a class of bioactive known as saccharidoid, which represents up to 46% of the total polyphenols present in olive oil. These natural chemicals are absorbed in the small intestines and can be detected in the blood plasma and in urine, proving their presence and availability in the body. Scientists from Spain show in the labs that olive oil saccharidoid could dramatically reduce the growth of breast cancer stem cells. When mice were injected with breast cancer stem cells that were exposed to saccharidoid, as many as 20% of the mice did not develop thermals. In the 80% that develops thermals, the thermals were 15 times smaller and grow at a much slower rate than untreated breast cancer cells. This result is consistent with the suppression of breast cancer stem cells.
The power of the olive oil saccharidoids on stem cells was evidenced at the genetic level. After the breast cancer stem cells were exposed, the bioactives changed the activity of 160 genes involved with controlling stem cells. One gene was reduced in its activity fourfold, while the activity of another gene that antagonized cancer stem cells increased 13-fold. The health protective power of the gene extends to targeting dangerous stem cells.
Other foods that target cancer stem cells. Other noteworthy bioactives found in foods can suppress cancer stem cells. Genistein is found in soy. Luteolin occurs in celery, oregano, and thyme. Quercetin is found in capers, apples, and peppers. All three of these compounds kill prostate cancer stem cells. Luteolin is especially potent and can shut down the activities of prostate cancer stem cells 20-fold. Hello? The bioactive of green tea, e.g. CG, has also been shown to work together with the bioactive quercetin to inhibit prostate cancer stem cells as well.
Some bioactives play dual roles. They can promote healthy functions in a defense system while combating the opposite effect in the same system. As we saw in Chapter 6, chlorogenic acid helps maintain normal circulation through angiogenesis in healthy tissues, while it can simultaneously starve dangerous tumors by cutting off their blood supply. Similarly, chlorogenic acid enhances normal stem cells' function for organ regeneration, but it also cripples cancer stem cells. In fact, scientists at Nihon University in Japan found that chlorogenic acid blocks the genes supporting lung cancer stem cells, and it increases the activity of genes that kill cancer cells by 1,000-fold. How the bioactives work in a dual fashion is not well understood. Foods high in chlorogenic acid include coffee, carrots, and stone fruit like apricot and plums.
Scientists at Seoul National University in Korea discovered that resveratrol, the bioactive found in red wine, grapes, peanuts, pistachios, dark chocolates, and cranberries, could interfere with the growth of breast cancer stem cells by 60%. Allergic acid is another bioactive that has been discovered to target breast cancer stem cells. Food high in allergic acids include chestnuts, blackberries, walnuts, and pomegranates.
Ketogenic diet. The ketogenic diet involves eating a high-fat, very low-carbohydrate diet that mimics fasting for the purpose of generating ketones in the body. Ketones are created from fat stored in the body when carbohydrates are not available for metabolism to make glucose. The ketones are used as an energy source by cells in place of glucose. This dietary strategy, although difficult to sustain, has been used for decades to help control epilepsy and is being explored to help treat glioblastoma, a deadly brain tumor.
While normal healthy cells can adapt to use ketones as an energy source, cancer cells cannot adapt the same way because they rely on glucose to keep up with their high energy demands. When glucose is low, tumors have difficulty growing. Ketones also interfere with the ability of cancer cells to obtain energy, making tumors more likely to respond to treatments when the patient is adopting a ketogenic diet. In lab mice with brain tumors, the ketogenic diet can shrink tumors by 50% and lengthen survival.
To explore the impact of a ketogenic diet on glioblastoma stem cells, researchers at the University of Florida in Gainesville obtained cancer stem cells from patients with glioblastoma whose tumors had been surgically removed. The cells were grown in incubators with normal glucose, low glucose, or ketogenic conditions. In low glucose conditions, brain cancer stem cells were stunned in their ability to grow compared to normal glucose conditions. This supports the idea that high sugar consumption, which may stimulate cancer stem cells growth in cancer patients, should be avoided. When the cells were exposed to ketone bodies in addition to low glucose, there was a more than twofold suppression of glioblastoma stem cells.
Glioblastoma was used to study the ketogenic effect, in part because of the importance of cancer stem cells in this disease. Even if this cancer is successfully removed or treated initially, the glioblastoma stem cells help it return aggressively. Avoiding added sugar and, and adhering to a ketogenic diet are strategies that may be helpful in fighting brain tumors.
Putting it all together, your stem cells are always at work, but as you age, they slow down and can use some help. Eating foods that mobilize your stem cells can boost your body's intrinsic ability to protect and maintain your organs. Regenerative eating, which stimulates stem cells from within, is a whole new way to think, choosing which foods and beverages to consume every day.
Keep in mind that Mediterranean and Asian dietary patterns commonly contain ingredients that have been shown to help the stem cells. And be aware that other patterns, such as high fat, high salt, or high sugar diets, can stun them, not sometimes you want to do frequently.
If you are fighting a chronic disease, activating your stem cells may be important for helping you overcome the damage it does to your tissues. If you have if you've had a heart attack or a stroke, your stem cells can help save your heart and rebuild your brain. In these situations, powering up your stem cells is a way to fight for your health, regain your strength, and keep your body functioning the way it needs to for a long life.
If you want to improve fitness, eating regenerative foods will help you improve blood flow and have more energy and better endurance. If you are an athlete or in training for physical performance of any kind, You want to recruit those stem cells to build muscle. If you are middle-aged and want your body to stay youthful, if you have had surgery and need to heal fast, or you are recovering from an illness and want to bounce back to health quickly, eating foods that increase your circulating stem cells may be one way to achieve your goals.
Finally, not all stem cells are your friend. Cancer stem cells are extremely dangerous. If you have cancer or have ever had it, your number one focus should be to kill those cancer stem cells. There's no medicine that can do this yet, but there are a growing number of foods and their bioactives that are being studied for their suppressive effects on cancer stem cells. Fortunately, foods that target cancer stem cells do not harm beneficial stem cells.
Key foods affecting regeneration, stem cell boosting, bamboo shoots, beer, black chokeberry, black raspberry, black tea, blueberries, Chinese celery, coffee, collard green, cranberries, dark chocolate, eggplants, pintaheads, goji berries, grape juice, grapes, green beans, green tea, kale, mango, mustard green, peaches, peanuts, pistachio, plums, red wine, rice bran, seafood high in omega-3, spinach, squid ink, Swiss chard, turmeric, watercress, whole grains, cancer cell
Cancer cell killing. Apple, apricot, blackberries, capers, carrots, celery, chestnuts, coffee, cranberries, dark chocolate, grapes, green tea, olive oil, evu, oregano, peanuts, peppers, pistachios, plums, pomegranate, purple potatoes, red wine, soy, thyme, walnuts. Chapter 8. Feed your inner ecosystem. When an expectant mother at the dinner table says she is eating for two, she's almost certainly going to think about making better food choices because of the baby growing in her womb. But when but we should all make these better choices when we sit down to feed ourselves, because we are never eating for just one or even two, but for 39 trillion. This is the number of bacteria making up the microbiome in our body.
Properly feeding our gut bacteria starts a biochemical domino effect that influences not just our digestion but also our overall health. A well-cared for community of gut bacteria will affect your ability to resist diseases like cancer and diabetes, influence your ability to heal wounds, and instruct your brain to release chemicals that make you more social. We are just beginning to learn how our microbiomes help our body resist diseases ranging from inflammatory bowel disease, depression, obesity, cardiovascular disease, and even Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease.
Let's look at just one example of how powerfully our microbiome can influence health. A gut bacteria called Akkermansia muciniphila makes up 1 to 3% of all bacteria in the gut microbiome. But this small population has a mighty impact. Akkermansia can help control the immune system, improve blood glucose metabolism in the body, decrease gut inflammation, and combat obesity. Its impact on the immune system is especially startling. Patients with some forms of cancer are now receiving breakthrough immunotherapy cancer treatments called checkpoint inhibitors. These inhibitors are an entirely new way to treat cancer. Unlike chemotherapy, which damages the immune system, these treatments specifically harness a person's own immune system to wipe out their cancer. The way they work is by ripping off the biochemical cloak cancer cells hide behind in order to stay undetected by our immune system.
In 2015, researchers led by Dr. Lawrence Zigvogel at the Institut Gustave Roussy in Paris showed that making even small alterations to the gut microbiome of mice could affect how well they responded to immunotherapy treatments. They found the same connection in human cancer patients, identified Akkermansia as one of the key healthy gut bacteria present in the microbiomes of people who benefit from this type of cancer treatment. If patients had the bacteria present in their gut, they are more likely to respond to treatment and are able to call their own immune system in to fight the cancer. If patients lack the bacteria, the immune system does not respond to the checkpoint inhibitor, and the cancer will still escape the immune system and continue to grow. Of 39 trillion bacteria in the microbiomes, the presence of Akkermansia predicted a better response to a cancer immunotherapy.
Here's the thing, diet can be used to increase Akkermansia in your gut. Certain fruit juices influence the gut's environment to become one in which Akkermansia likes to grow. Pomegranate juice, for instance, is high in alligitanes, a specific group of bioactives that about 70% of people can metabolize into urolithin A. Yet another bioactive, urolithin A, has antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and anti-cancer activity. It is thought that Akkermansia is responsible for this metabolism. Perhaps not surprisingly, alligitannins have been shown to encourage growth of Akkermansia. Cranberries also improve conditions in the gut that help Akkermansia thrive.
The data on cranberry and pomegranate juice show how powerfully our diet can influence our microbiome, which can in turn influence our immune response to cancer therapy, literally with life and death implications. This kind of research into the connections between specific foods, the good and bad bacteria they influence, their metabolism, and associated health outcome is changing our approach to human nutrition. And these discoveries will profoundly influence what your doctor or dietitians recommends that you eat.
You can immediately benefit from a healthier microbiome by eating foods and using dietary patterns known to influence members of your 39 million resident bacteria. Yeah, I think there is it a typo here? Is it million or trillion?
Uh,
Yeah, because previously it kept talking about 39 trillion, and now it's million.
I think it's million because it's mentioned about the members. Something
Members.
like
Oh, okay. Yep, so I continue. Anything you swallow that is not fully absorbed in your small intestines trickles down to the tail end of your gut. There, the bacteria in your microbiome await their meal. They too digest and metabolize proteins, carbohydrates, fats, bioactives, and even addictive, additive, and the synthetic chemicals in food. Scientists are discovering how diet can help maintain a healthy bacteria ecosystem and even help reshape the ecosystem. A microbiome with too few useful bacteria can be enriched with those bacteria, and a system with too many harmful bacteria can have those reduced. In this way, adjusting the microbiome can restore optimal balance, in essence, raising our shields and boosting our microbiome's ability to defend our health. On the other hand, some foods can lower our shields by changing our bacteria negatively, which can promote disease. Before we look at microbiome influencing foods, let's have a look at the diseases linked to imbalances of microbiome.
yeah, Mr. K. How about we stop right here?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Yeah, share your thoughts.
Yep, and yeah, firstly, also the part that we read last week, yeah, we talk about a few type of diets which they think is not good. Firstly, there are some, for example, high salt, high salt diet. Yeah, this one I think um, is mostly bad, right? And even for carnivore diet, it is not to the degree of high salt, right?
How much is high? Actually, 5 gram, 10 gram. Actually, I think if you adopt the carnivore diet or ketogenic diet, I think most of the time you need to increase your salt intake. Because your body need the sodium.
Okay.
Uh,
So
and also your body needs the electrolytes, which is the sodium, magnesium, and one thing I forget is I'm not sure. I just forget. There's three
benefits.
sorry, I missed there's three mineral is essential and is kind of like in the group of electrolytes. Yeah, so it's kind of like keep your body hydrated, because if you eat carbs and carbs inside the cup there's a big portion is water, but if you eat the proteins, if you eat the fats, because they are nutrients dense, they don't contain so much water, especially fat.
Yeah. So that means you have to drink more water, is it?
Drink more water sometimes help, but sometimes don't help, because you drink more water and then you the urines of your body, and actually some of the sodium is out from your body altogether, so that your body actually need the electrolytes to keep your body hydrated and keep your body to store to keep the water inside the body. Yeah. So you couldn't just purely drink a lot of water. Sometimes you need to increase your salt intake.
Yeah. So because you cook for your own meal, and so before and after, yeah, the carnivore diet. So how much do you increase? Like one-fold, or how many percent more?
Percentage. Sometimes I mean before I do the carnivore diets, just because okay, the first thing is you couldn't just look at the salt. You couldn't look at the salt. You need to look at the sodium. But how can we know how much sodium we take inside? Have so many foods, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, it's very, very hard to determine. And also in the past, I don't take salt. Sometimes in our meal we just don't put salt.
Oh,
We put other, for example, we put soy sauce, but soy sauce also contains sodium. So very hard to determine. But if you want to say, my feeling is maybe increase one-fold, which means double, or maybe to triple, double to triple, maybe.
Yep. And then the next is the high sugar. In this part, it is called like I forgot the terms.
Glycemic? What?
Yeah. Hyperglycemic diet. Yep. So this is like high sugar diet. And for this one, I think, also most of the diets, either no matter is carnivore or ketogenic, I think high sugar is a bad thing. It affects our stem cells. And can maybe lead to diabetes. And then the next one is high fat. High fat here also is mentioned is something like bad, and I think because they assume that we take normal diet, not the carnivore diet. And but it did mention ketogenic diet in this part, and ketogenic is high fat and then low carbohydrates, right? Yep. And then also yesterday I tried to understand more about fat. I think you know more than me, so I can try to sort the information by discussing the fat that I learned yesterday. Fat here we have the saturated fat, and then a few types of unsaturated fat, and then we have trans fat, right? Major, there are three.
We also have the monosaturated fats.
Saturated. So I just treat them as saturated, and then there are something like polyunsaturated or mono saturated, a few types, right? And then the major three types. Firstly, trans fat is bad. This is also in some country they ban trans fat. Trans fat is like I'm not sure it is like artificial one they make from the factory, and it is not good for our body.
And also trans fat is actually the oxidation. The fat, trans fat is actually the fat after the oxidation of omega-6 of or polyunsaturated fats.
So it is from omega-6, right?
I'm not sure whether it is also from omega-3, but most of the time I heard about this is just come from the omega-6.
So trans fat is bad, and then talk about the rest of the two. And I saw that unsaturated fat, they are kind of like the good source of fat for our body. It is the healthy, so-called healthy one. We should intake more. And the rest, the last one, which is the saturated fat. For this one, they say it is in between bad and good, and it seems like they are not very sure or certain whether this is a good thing or bad thing, or whether it linked to cardiovascular disease. It seems like we have both type of information for this.
And we also
Yeah.
have some information for unsaturated fat. And one of the study, I'm not okay. Let me talk about the trans fat first. And the
Okay.
trans fat, one quick knowledge is, in some country, if the trans fat is less than 0.1 gram, or I forget, it's less than 0.5 gram or 0.1 gram, and the Institute of the Foods is kind of like the institution of foods that governs about the food that restrict them to make the label. I'm not sure what's the institute. I'm not sure what's the name of institute, but there's something like the organization, the department of government doing this part of job. And when your trans fat in the food is less than a certain amount, let's say 0.1 gram, and they allow you to state 0 gram.
Oh, round down.
yeah, on the label. This is something I found. Yeah. So maybe you see the label is 0 gram. They say 0 gram trans fat. Maybe they didn't show you the routing number, which got 0.1 or 0.01. Yeah. And okay, and go back to the saturated fats and the unsaturated fat. You also can find both sides of opinion from the research, from the real study. Yeah, for the unsaturated fat. And one of the study I see quite amazing is study about, okay, this is a meta-analysis. Meta-analysis is actually kind of like the researcher capture all the data and get all the information from a lot of study, being conducted, and then they combine together and try to analyze, is there any relationship between one research and another research?
Okay.
So the meta-analysis, so the meta-analysis is kind of like the analysis on the analysis of the foods or of the fat. Yeah. So this study, I think I couldn't remember the name, but I couldn't some keywords. You can find like the meta-analysis from 1800 years, 1800 to until now. Until now, I mean it's around maybe 2015 or 2016. But if you type meta-analysis 1800 and then you type fat or you type saturated fat, I think you can find it. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me try first. Okay. Okay, I think this one is not very easy to find. Yeah. And yeah, but never mind. Maybe later I can put a link.
Never mind. I think I also can try to search, and if I cannot, maybe I ask for your help.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think I found it. Okay. The title is.
Any keywords?
It come from Frontiers. The website is frontierscience.org, and the keyword is United States dietary trends since 1800s.
Okay.
Lack of association between saturated fatty acids consumption and non-communicable diseases. Yeah, this is a title. I think later I will put the link on our under our description. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And okay, and this study it actually show a few things. I think it starts from 1970 or 1971. Americans' diets changed dramatically, which is changed from relatively high red meat consumption, changed to lean meat consumption, which is white meat, and the overall protein is quite constant. Didn't increase so much, and also didn't decrease so much, the protein.
Okay.
And so they replace the red meat to the poultry, maybe a pork, maybe the chicken, mainly chicken in America and US. And another is the fat decreased dramatically, especially especially for the animal fat. Yeah, overall the fat decreased, but inside which type of fat decreased the most is animal fat, which is the saturated fat. And what it replaced to the vegetable oil. Yeah, which is the polyunsaturated fats. Yeah. And and another, which is the carbohydrate increase, the carbohydrate consumption increase, and it normally comes from like the potatoes or maybe the rice and all type of the refined carbohydrate, and also could be the complex carbohydrate, but also something that increase, also some of the consumption increase a lot. For example, the refined sugar or the soft drink, or these things. Yeah.
Yep.
So that you can see the overall protein remains the same, carbohydrate increase, fat decrease, and actually the study found that the calories is actually quite the same. Didn't increase so much. Maybe change within 10%. Yeah, the average change within 10%. So it's actually really not much. Yeah. And so far we know one fact is the fat contribute 9 calories per 1 gram, and protein and carbohydrate contribute around 4 calories per 1 gram. Do you know this? You know this, right?
Yeah, you told me before, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So that what does it mean? When their calorie remain unchanged and then fat reduce significantly, although you and also the structure, I mean the component of the fats also change dramatically from saturated fat to unsaturated fat mainly, and protein remain the same. So if you know about mathematics, if you can do some simple calculation, elementary grade calculation, and you will know that fat is calorie dense. So that if you reduce, let's say if you reduce 1 gram of fat, and if you want to make sure your calorie remain unchanged, you need to increase 2 grams of carbs, carbohydrate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that people eat a lot of carbs, people eat less fat, people change the red meat to the white meat, but the whole protein, the total protein is remain unchanged. And since 1971, and then the obesity rate increased a lot, the diabetes rate increased a lot. Yeah. And also people eat more processed foods. Yeah. Also is regarding the carbohydrate, and also some of the processed food also contain the fat, the polyunsaturated fat. Yeah.
Yes.
And this is a trend since 1971. Yeah. And the study found that first, processed food is highly correlated to the obesities, to the all kind of non-communicable diseases. No matter it's like heart disease, No matter it's maybe let's say the depression or any kind of disease that is quote unquote non-communicable, unlike the COVID-19 communicable. Yeah. So that it's kind of like a study about the mortality, but you exclude those like the flu, you exclude like the communicable disease that have the contagion. Yeah. So you all these things, and then you look at those disease, the mortality rate, or maybe the disease rate. Try to understand, try to find is there any relationship between these. And this study found that just like the title I say out just now, lack of association between saturated fatty acids consumption and non-communicable diseases. Yeah. So that even though we reduce the red meat consumption, okay, but our disease rate still increase. Even though we change our saturated fat to polyunsaturated fat, our disease rate also increase, and the health problem is actually the health issue nowadays is actually worse than 10 years ago, worse than 20 years ago, worse than 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. Everyone can feel that, right? No matter what country you are in US, Asian, all the same. This is a global trend. This is not just a one country. Yeah.
We call them modern diseases, right?
Yeah, we call them modern diseases. Yeah. So this is a study I found. Although this is also like kind of like the statistical study, because it reviewed the data on the Americans diet from 1800 to 2019. Yeah, so it's around 219 years. Yeah. But still, they may have some bias. They may have some information that or data that is quite ambiguous. It depends on how they analyze the data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also just now you mentioned processed food, right? I think they find hard to find out the cause and effect, whether it's the fat or the processed food, right? And also the sugary foods.
But how many people eat processed food? A lot, really, really a lot. Yeah. So if there's a signal, they may show up. Yeah. But one of the point this study point out is processed food is highly correlated. But besides that, high sugar, high carb is also the factors. But no association, lack of association between saturated fats. Yeah, and also the red meat consumption with the non-communicable diseases.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this study actually is not telling you what food is wrong, what food is bad, but it tells you what food is not bad, which is maybe the saturated fat is no bad to our body. Processed food definitely bad to your body because processed food is highly correlated.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we can find both sides of the information. Because also from my research yesterday from a few websites, I saw that they say actually there is a relationship between cardiovascular disease and heart attack with the intake or consumption of saturated fat. It is not like
but people also eat a lot of carbs. This is one thing you need to know. And also, do these people also consume a lot of high salt, high fat, high sugar, high carbs?
Yeah, but they say the relationship is kind of like unclear. But there is one more, which is they say it is clearer, the correlation, which is the intake of uh, yeah, I think I mix up with omega. I think I had better to check better. To check again. Yeah.
Omega-6, you only
Yeah,
got
because
3 omega-3, omega-6, omega-9. You only got
yeah.
3 omega.
Yeah, because after that I also go to see the omega 3, 6, and 9. Yeah, so I forgot which one is the research that I want to mention.
Mm.
Mm.
And also, one another thing is, this is something come from logic, and I read from a book. Okay, but this is just logic.
Mm.
And the logic is, if you once, okay, if let's say you are the animal farmer, you want to raise the animal because you want to sell, you want to get the meat, you want to sell it, right? And then
Yeah.
you want your animal fat, you want your animal grow fast. What you feed them? Do you feed them the fat? Do you feed them the protein, or do you feed them the carbohydrate?
Yeah, you also need to compare the cost, right?
Yeah, you need to compare the cost, but the fat, the cost of the fat versus the cost of carbs is not much different.
Mm.
Mm.
Yep.
And if you try to look at if you try to go to a grocery, I'm not sure whether you shop the grocery quite often or not, but you can go to see what's the price of the lard, what's the price of the oil, animal fats versus the cost of the vegetable oil. You will find that actually animal fat is much cheaper, much cheaper than the vegetable oil.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, you are right. They need to compare the cost. But almost all of the animal farmer, they feed them grains. For example, the cow, for example, the chicken,
Mm.
and if you let them go around, they eat the grass, they eat some food natural to the chicken, to the cow, to the cattle, the grass. And when you want to feed them faster, you want them to grow faster, you give them eat grain, maybe the whole grain or maybe the grain. So we have the grass-fed meat. We also have the grain-fed meat. But do we have the fat? Do we have the protein fat meat? Do we have the fat meat? Why we don't have? Maybe it's just a market. The market tried before and it doesn't work.
Yeah, can you rephrase the last sentence? What is do we have fat meat or what?
You feed the animal the fat and expect the animal grow faster. Yeah. Or you feed the protein to the animal and expect it to grow faster. Or you feed them the grain, which is the carbohydrate, and expect them to grow faster. Which one is?
Yeah, I think grow faster maybe is protein and fat.
Actually, no. Yeah, because for the cow, they eat the grasses. This is the nature. Yeah, if you are feeding a lion, if you're feeding the tiger, you are right. You need to feed them meat. How about you feed the rabbit? You feed the rabbit the meat.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some of the animal they can eat both. They can eat chicken. Sorry, I mean the chicken can eat the meat, and also can eat the grains of that thing. Which
yeah, I
one?
think pig also.
Yeah, pig also. And if you let
Yeah.
the animal choose which one they prefer, and also when human want to let them grow fast, what human feed them? Yeah,
Yeah.
they feed the carbohydrate so that they grow faster.
Mm.
And if you come to human, can it be the same logic which you want a human fat? You feed them the grains, you feed them the carbohydrate.
Yeah.
And also, this is one logic, and another logic is the fats. It's a fats come from the food. Really, the same fat in our body. Try to imagine you eat 10 grams of fats, and then your body, how your body use the fat, or your body cannot absorb the fat. You just gain 10 grams of fat in your belly. Is it the case? Yeah, this is the second logic. So the food, the fat come from the food is different from the fat in our body. And even though you eat zero fat, you only eat the carbohydrate, your body can also accumulate the fat. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, but that kind of fat may not be the fat like omega-3, right?
Yeah, of course. No,
Yeah, because
this.
also.
Sorry. I think you misunderstand. The omega-3 unsaturated fat, saturated fat is the food. It's a food. Okay? It's a food fat. But how about your body fat? Yeah, how about body fat? Do people say is it a saturated fat or is it the unsaturated fat of those things? No, people just say your body fat. Your body fat don't have like the category, or maybe if it has a category, maybe it's a saturated fat because you are also animal.
Yep.
And also you see, I think you heard people say that they can like extract the fat from human
Yeah,
body, and then,
liposuction.
yeah, and then they can make the soap or something like that, and then you can see that this is not the fat is kind of like maybe in the form between the liquid and the solid, so it's quite similar to the saturated fat. It's not just like the vegetable oil, just like the oil. No.
Yeah.
And if you touch your body, if you don't believe you touch your body, do you feel there's liquid inside your body? Touch your back, do you feel there's a liquid fat inside your body? No, this is like a solid fat. So you can pretty sure that it's a separated fat. Yeah.
Yeah, and also after the fat, I also came across omega-3, 6, and 9. Yeah, in that particular website, they also says that actually the plant-based oil like sunflower seeds or a few types, they are really high in omega-6. Yeah, you also told me before, and omega-3 6 ratio is very high. And but I saw that for animal oils, yeah, the omega-6 is in a lower ratio. Yeah, and for olive oil, yeah, olive oil is actually quite uh, uh, less in omega-6. Yeah, and it is high in omega-3. It is not just the ratio of 6 is lesser, and then it has a lot of unsaturated fat in olive oil. So so I think this is why they say olive oil is like healthy choice.
Yeah, about olive oil, I think there's a lot of things to debate here. How do you know that your olive oil is really the real olive oil? Some companies actually mix a lot of oil inside the olive oil, including the extra virgin olive oil. They tell you this is extra virgin olive oil, but they may
who
mix
knows?
something. Yeah, and this is a highly processed food. Yeah, of course, this is not the processed food I mean here is not defined by the scientists. It's just in my opinion, because you need to use a factory to process it.
Yeah, it is not like 100% organic, right?
Yeah, something like that. This is what I want to say, and yeah, so that the first thing is you couldn't ensure the quality of the oil. The second is omega-3 also have three forms: DHA, EPA, and ALA. If the omega-3 come from the plant foods, you need to be aware most likely they are the ALA, because plant foods don't have the EPA and DHA in the omega-3 form. Only animal fat has this. Yeah. And then you need to understand what is the function, what is the usefulness of EPA, DHA, and also the ALA. You try to search about the ALA. Yeah, how ALA work, and then you will find that actually, even though the omega-6 ratio is quite okay, that is the omega-3 really contribute your body? If it didn't, I mean it didn't. If it didn't, in case it's not the case, what is the adjusted omega-6 ratio?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you are not just want to reduce omega-6. You also want to increase the consumption of omega-3. You want to let your body have the balance between the real ratio. Yeah. You can eat zero omega-6, or you can eat zero omega-3, but you also eat zero omega-6. Then the ratio is still the 1. You eat 1 gram of omega-6, you eat 1 gram of omega-3, the ratio is equal to 1. But what if you eat a lot of fat? You eat like 100 grams. 50 grams is omega-3, 50 grams is omega-6. Yeah, this is also 1. Okay, but how about when the ratio start to change, the adjusted ratio start to change, and your fat consumption is really significant? Yeah, it may have massive changes on your body. You can feel that.
Yeah.
But the point is, you still can try. Yeah, you still can try to eat the olive oil. And try to see what's the reaction of from your body. Do your body prefer more saturated fat, or do your body prefer the animal fat more, or the olive oil more? And olive oil is not cheap.
Yeah. The cost is an issue.
Yeah, and also one of the point is olive oil. The heat point. I don't know the terms, which is the 沸点. Okay, the maximum heating point is actually very low. So people say that you couldn't use olive oil to cook. You can use olive oil to mix with your salad to eat, something like that. Especially you don't use the extra virgin olive oil to cook. You use some complex, I don't know the terms. Yeah, maybe a little bit more complicated olive oil to cook your dishes. Yeah. So that this is also a problem, which is linked to one of the things I mentioned just now. when the omega-6 or the polyunsaturated profiles fatty acids become oxidized because you heat them, you burn them, and then it turns into the trans fats, or it produces trans fats. Yeah. So overall, is virgin oil. So overall, is olive oil is really good. It still have a lot to debate. You cannot just look at the food. You need to look at how to cook, how you prepare the food, and how's the conversion rate of the nutrients in the food to from the food inside your body.
Yeah. I think for diet is really not an easy subject, and also for the scientists, their research, they also keep improving, right? Which yesterday I also go to see the 7 countries analysis. Was that is that 7 country research or what? Yeah, and from Wikipedia, I saw that there are a lot of criticism for him not using all the country's data, and also there is a part talk about fat, which is like they say in the early 21st century they prefer low fat. They think low fat is healthier, and after that, maybe after 10 years, they switch from low fat to moderate fat. So which means they started to find that fat isn't that bad, and our body also need fats. So you can see over the years, the scientists, they change their opinion on many things. So we also couldn't ensure that maybe after 10 years, after 20 years, they found that something is good, which previously we think is bad, right?
Yeah. And I think yesterday or 2 days ago, I read one story which is about in the hospitalization or in the medical. It's a medical story which is, a few decades ago, many doctors and many people still believe bloodletting, 放血 bloodletting, is good, and also can use to cure some illness, some disease, right?
In ancient time they used this, right, in the barber shop.
And then they apply this for more than a few decades, maybe like more than 50 years. How can, and only until the modern science really prove that this is wrong, then doctors start to abandon it, and government start to tell the doctors, start to tell maybe the physicians, stop doing this thing, you are going to kill the patients. So we can see, and also there are a lot of dark story in the medical, and also in maybe the nutrition. You can see how the food pyramid change. How they change, and how the proteins gram keep reducing and reducing. Maybe initially it's called maybe each day normal adult needs 50 grams of protein, but start to over time it reduced from 50 grams reduced to 45 grams, reduced to 40 grams, 35 grams, like that.
And also there could be some also competition between. I heard people say there are some competition between the Chinese herbs, which is the TCM medicine, and the Western medicine, because they are different, right? One is like from the herbs, one is from the pharmaceutical factory. And yeah, they say because they want to gain the market, so they will like talk the bad words each others. Yeah, which is like TCM say the Western medicine is like poison. It
Mm.
it is like harmful to your body, and then the Western medicine also say that like the TCM medicines they are uh, uh,
Not pseudoscience.
yeah, they didn't like undertake science and scientific research. We didn't know the ingredient. Maybe some of the ingredient are poisonous. Yeah, so they are keep attacking each others.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. So anything want to add in?
Yeah, no.
Okay. So yeah, talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
Yeah, yeah. Talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye.